to the Drew Sutton Leadership Show, lighting the way with real leaders, real stories, and real impacts. Because when leaders stop growing, the darkness wins. All right, welcome to another amazing episode of the Drew Sutton Leadership Show. Today we have Aaron Rothke. Aaron likes to joke that his bourbon journey started at 8 days old when Rabbi handed him a wine at his bris. Today, the early sip has aged into leadership path that rooted in community, entrepreneurship, and Kentucky's barrel-proof culture. Aaron is the owner and single barrel manager of Oak and Age, his soon-to-launch bourbon brand, and co-founder of Kentucky Bourbon Influencers, a nonprofit that celebrates and promotes bourbon as Kentucky's native spirit. He also serves as the vice chair of the Kentucky Jewish Council, helping combat anti-Semitism and build bipartisan bridges between Kentucky and Israel. A proud double graduate of the University of Kentucky, accounting, and then having his MBA, Aaron previously owned Happy Hour Liquor and Bar, where he grew revenues 370% in just 3.5 years through educated barrel picks and brand storytelling. His leadership roots run deep. He's the past president of the Lexington Young Professionals Association and lives by the mantra, your network is your net worth. He's also the founder of Bourbon and Bedrooms and the current investor in LexClean, Horseshoe Barrel Company, and S.N. Pikes Magnolia for rehabbing houses to revising bourbon barrel brands. Aaron is building a portfolio as diverse as the top shelf tasting flight. Whew. Well, with that, without further ado, welcome to the show, Aaron.
Well, thank you for that. I gave you a tongue twister. I made things challenging on you. And that music got me psyched up. I am ready to go. I've got bourbon in front of me. I know Drew has bourbon in front of me, so it's going to be a good show.
Yeah.
L'chaim, which means to life.
L'chaim. Yeah. I don't know. No, it's actually, if you're watching the show, this is actually 8 a.m. I don't know why Aaron wanted to start drinking this early. I'm just
I don't believe there's a time you can't have a drink at. And there's not a time that I'm not excited to have a drink at. But there are times I'm not excited to be buzzed or drunk at. But tailgating UK football, there's some noon games. So there's some times I'm out there at 8 or 9 o'clock having a beverage in the morning.
Funny. No, for those that are watching this later, this is actually, it's 4 o'clock on a Wednesday. I was just teasing Aaron.
I call this Whiskey Wednesday.
Whiskey Wednesday.
Yeah.
I love it. And then of course, we have Taco Tuesday, but then what is Monday?
Taco Tuesday Eve.
Taco Tuesday Eve. What is your favorite?
Like in Judaism, we're all about positivity. And for many people, Monday or that word is just not a positive word. So we're encouraged to use positive speech. And for me, at least, I love tacos. Taco Tuesday is exciting. So Taco Tuesday Eve is way more positive than the M word.
Yes, than the M word. That's funny.
Yeah.
Actually,
it's a bad word for a lot of people.
So I love this. I've recently, the Lord has brought in several very strongly Jewish people into my life, which I've super treasured. The Jewish traditions has all sorts of fun things, some of which have to do with your tongue. For instance, and this is not an American culture thing, it's a bad deal to gossip about people, right?
Yes.
That's not something you do. And
yes.
I thought, as my friends were explaining, Blake was Wiseman was the first person to introduce me to the concept. Of course, I grew up in the Christian tradition, so like I'm familiar that it's bad to do. But no, you all take it so seriously. And I thought, man, what a refreshing society to live in.
Yeah.
Where you're intentionally not slandering each other. And now I discovered today that you're intentionally being positive. That is.
Yes. So there's only one situation we're allowed to be sad or grieve is when someone passes away. And there's a small window of when we are then allowed to be sad or not positive and grieve. And so there's also a belief that fake positivity leads to positivity. So just faking joy can bring you real joy. But like you said, gossiping, it affects 3 people negatively. The person speaking the gossip, the person you're sharing the gossip to, and the person you're gossiping about. So in historical days, back before the temple, the tabernacle, you'd be removed from society for a period of time for that gossip until you could then be a functioning member of society again and be invited back in.
I know. Yeah. I didn't even know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my friend Thule, who kind of explained kind of a middle piece, he said the tongue is so dangerous. It has 2 gates on it. It has your teeth and your lips. I thought, man,
Yeah.
anyway, just a gem, an absolute gem from your tradition, and it has enriched my life.
And the other cool thing, I mean, like talking bourbon again, we're here in Kentucky, Lexington, Kentucky, both of us. We got such great bourbon. We're supposed to be encouraged to drink something and enjoy it with all five senses as much as possible. So, like,
Okay.
you put in glasses to hear it, you look at it, you smell it, you taste it on your hands, and then also nose it like that. So yeah, we got a beautiful thing here with bourbon, and we're encouraged to enjoy it.
Yeah. So I feel like a lot of people. So I come from an engineering background, and so it makes me a scientist of sorts. Actually, engineers and scientists get in a bit of a tiff because engineers care if things work, and scientists care about how things work, which is a different little nuance. But we lose some of that meditation that you get. So like just being able to be in the moment and breathe in the bourbon, smell it, enjoy its flavor, move to the next stage, enjoy that flavor, then move on. I think a little slower pace of life is healthy for everyone.
Oh yeah. And it's tough, like you said, to let's say we're networking and we're going to talk about networking a bit. I usually still order myself a bourbon, but it's hard to, while engaging with other people, be focused on the drink, and that's okay. You want to be focused on the other people. But yeah, I mean, there's times where I might enjoy nosing a bourbon and then not want to like drink it all just because it just smells so good. It's a beautiful,
Yeah. I grew up on a tobacco farm. I was kind of in the stage where we were about to get rid of tobacco. So I was not a heavy tobacco laborer myself, but we always had tobacco in the barns. And there's a couple of scents that really make Toyota to make Kentucky come to life. I grew up down the road from Toyota, but make Kentucky come to life for me. And that is a aged tobacco barn. And then the good smell of Kentucky bourbon barrels and Kentucky bourbon. I mean,
and then there's a whole new thing on cigar finishes, which there's two ways to do that. There would be Joseph Magnus made it famous, the traditional cigar, which is a semi-sweet sherry, cognac and Armagnac. And then there's the Starlight that made their cigar finish, which is an Amburana finish, which imparts more of like the holiday spices, cinnamon, sugar cookie, oatmeal, raisin kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of tobacco notes. I don't pick up on it. I have a long storied smoking history. I smoked for a full week when I was 13. Full week. Did not enjoy it. I was just like coughing and choking and dying. I'm like, I don't understand how people get into this. It doesn't make sense to me, but I'm sure someone's into what is the people that love harming themselves.
Masochism or sadism.
I think. Yeah. Like, so, I mean, I guess at first you must be a bit into that because like I can't imagine just going into smoking cigarettes and like, oh, this is just naturally, this is great.
I've never smoked cigarettes. I have done cigars, though recently I've had long COVID. So, my lungs, I don't feel like I've really bounced back from COVID, which I had 5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And a friend of mine said, the spike protein, words, nicotine matches that, words. And I was like, oh, I have a cigar I haven't smoked for a while. So I sat down this is like literally a month ago. And so I sat down and I just like puffed through a cigar kind of fast on purpose because I was just trying to get through it. And because there wasn't anybody to share it with, it was just me out in the backyard. So I was like enjoying it, but kind of getting through it. And then I got sick on it and I haven't been able to smoke a cigar since. Like I went out with some friends and I got a cigar and I was like, I think I just ruined cigars.
That's tough. I mean, like, same thing if you throw up from alcohol, it can be hard to revisit the same spirit for quite a while. I'm fortunate where I just have like a good sense of where I am alcohol wise. I thoroughly enjoy alcohol, as you can see behind me. It's just the open bottles. There's more bottles that are not open here. I've only thrown up from alcohol one time. So I've mostly made good choices, thankfully. So I've never just ruined it. But yeah, I love tequila as well. And a lot of people have thrown up from that. And like, it's a sipping drink, just like bourbon is to me. But if you do shots and you throw up, you're not going to like to do that spirit anymore. Yeah. That's tough.
Well, so let's talk about your kind of entrepreneur journey. So you and I met, I think, at the LinkedIn local way back before COVID. And so our lives kind of brushed each other. And at that time you were I think you had just bought your liquor store And what remind me the name of that again?
Happy Hour Liquor and Bar, owned by 4 lovely Nepalese men in Nicholasville, Kentucky now.
Oh, well, there we go. So talk
Yeah.
to me. How did you get into that? And then how did you get out of that?
Oh, the getting out of it story is even better than the getting in story.
Okay.
But the getting in story is I like bourbon. I'm networked in bourbon. I'm in bourbon groups. I see bourbon groups buying their own specific barrel just for them and then selling it all within the group. And that's just a big sale for a liquor store. And then the average liquor store owner doesn't use social media. And that to me is just free advertising, free promotion. Totally. And then there's so many bourbon groups that you could share that post in that want to see what liquor stores are up to. So I was like, networking, social media, I'm going to grow a liquor store. I got laid off at the start of COVID, director of finance, and I wanted to get back to entrepreneurship. I was very unsuccessful in my first business. I owned a restaurant called the Macho Nacho. I got to declare bankruptcy. I got to lose my house. I wouldn't recommend those parts of it, at least.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
If you're going to go restaurant, which I love, I'm a foodie. It pairs with alcohol. Start totally. Small. Start with a food truck. Start in your kitchen. Build a following. Build bigger, because you can't shrink. You can always grow it.
Yeah, I had a friend when I was in Texas, and they did SoCal tacos, so Southern California tacos, which is kind of a very specific flavor. And they were going gangbusters when they had the food truck. But they said to themselves, oh, we want to go bigger. And so they got a place, and then they got some investors, and then they had some cash flow problems, and then they got another investor, and then they got some cash flow problems. And they found out they were working 80 hours a week for like 5 or 10% of the company. So yeah, the restaurant game's a tough game. But man, the food truck, they were piling the money in hand over fist. They were also
usually you're given a smaller food portion. Your food cost with a food truck is typically lower, and then you just have less overhead. You have less like loans. Yeah, it can be easier to break even beyond just like, you don't have to lose your house. You don't have to declare bankruptcy if you're not successful, which those are not fun things.
No.
So I got into the business. I thought I'd be able to double revenues. And kudos to my staff, customers, people from Lexington that would drive to my store, which I would not drive to my store unless it was some real special lease. But a lot of friends were like, no other liquor store exists. We're supporting you.
That's
so
good.
It just, I don't know. I have lots of flaws. People seem to like me. I appreciate whatever natural abilities that I've been given. And then I'm not shy about this. I'm not ashamed of it. I was doing what I think what is illegal in Kentucky. In my mind, it is not immoral. So in many states, retailers can ship alcohol. In Kentucky, retailers cannot. And
really?
Yeah. So like Washington, D.C., you can ship to like 45-ish states.
Right.
And to me, like if someone's 21, it's not immoral to ship them alcohol.
No,
but
agreed.
In Kentucky, it is. So I racked up some violations with the ABC. And let's word it positively. The ABC kindly asked me to not be a liquor store and bar owner anymore. In essence, they were coming for my liquor license. Perhaps could have fought it. Perhaps could have won. But, I was sending packages. Yeah. So I had grown it, so I did well. I was able to sell it for more than I bought it for. It's allowed me to do some nice things. It's been great. And then as an entrepreneur, you are comfortable with more stress than the average person. So there was a big load of stress off.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it makes total sense. One of my clients went through bankruptcy. Well, actually they didn't, but 2 of their key clients, like they're like above 20% of their business clients, did go through bankruptcy. And so what I didn't realize, I was familiar with the concept of bankruptcy as an individual or as a business, but I didn't realize that if your bankruptcy affects other people too. And so anyway, it was just an education. I fortunately didn't have to go through it personally, but I did get to walk through every stage of the bankruptcy with this client. And like we were providing services kind of still, but kind of not. It was a hairball, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the majority of the debt that I owed was to the bank, and it was an SBA 7A loan, which I don't know how well your audience knows that package, but basically it gives banks more comfortability at loaning to businesses that are not fully collateralized loans.
Gotcha.
It covers a shortfall of collateral. So the bank, ultimately what I heard was made out pretty good with the SBA and, the equity in my house and what have you. But you're right. You are absolutely affecting other people when you declare bankruptcy because that money is not going to come to them anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know what? I actually like, having gone through it now with a client, I actually like that our country does bankruptcy, because the other alternative is the business fails and you are lumped with this insurmountable debt for the rest of your life, essentially.
Yeah.
And the forgiveness of that debt really allows commerce to take on more risk and to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's painful, and it's painful for you, and it was painful for us. And we had to lay some people off because, again, that was a huge chunk of our business. But it actually ultimately the forgiveness, I think, is a cool. I think a lot of people are like, oh, it's bankruptcy. It's like, well, it is part of the legal structure, and it's actually a kinder part of the legal structure than the old way that we used to manage it.
Yeah.
At least it's a workable one.
I mean, even in the Torah, there's provisions for forgiveness of debt in the sabbatical year. So after 7 years, you would have to forgive a debt. It's kind of cool how our government has adapted, and I'm not saying all the things that the government's adapted are great, but has adapted some values.
Some mercy clauses there, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So you started a business, you started another business, you started another business. You are invested in several businesses. And now, of course, all of them are your favorite businesses, 100%. But if you had one that today you are most excited about, which one would you be most excited about today?
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right. I definitely am invested in like all the businesses that I'm involved in. And, I like character. I also like a smart business plan. So I've got some great people, and like Oak and Age, which is my bourbon brand. It also has two other owners and partners who also deserve full credit. And they brought the idea to me. So
cool.
we got William Francis, who owns Horseshoe Barrel Company, which is also a brand that I'm an investor in. Okay. And then we got Daniel Leader, who he co-owned a brand in the past. He's got a great palate. He is an expert bartender, great knowledgeable expert on bourbon. So it's cool. We get to choose. We're what's called an NDP, which is a non-distilling producer. Some of these brands behind me, we've got Jack Daniels right there. They produce their own stuff.
Right.
Smoke Wagon, next to Jack Daniels, they are an NDP. So they're sourcing barrels and putting it under their label. Okay. There's some amazing producers out there. I'm a fan of most of them. I mean, what I'm drinking are some of our 7-year barrels. I can't say the distillery's name. It's based out of Lawrenceburg, Kentucky, so it shouldn't be that hard to narrow that down.
Right. Not naming names.
Yeah, not going to name it. I'm not allowed to. But there's some amazing bourbon out there. Sales is all storytelling. There's a lot of storytelling and building a brand. So yeah, it's just really cool getting to pick our barrels, getting to put our stamp on them. And then kind of what I was doing in the liquor store was 40% of my sales was selling single barrels to bourbon groups, to companies, to individuals. And that's what we get to do now. I just have less of the stress of hundreds of customers coming in every day, people messaging me all hours of the day and night, 7 days a week while I'm on vacation. But I was my own worst enemy previously there's a fly that I'm swatting, and not just swatting it at Drew. I'm not slapping you. I guess now I am. Let's do it. That's a spicy meatball?
It's a spicy meatball.
Oh, it's 4 o'clock. And if we're drinking now, we're going to be hungry later. But yes, I'm loving my bourbon brand, Oak and Age. We're just getting started. We don't even have a label yet, but we're going to have that soon. So there's no social media. There's no branding. Were you about to say something, Drew?
Yeah. So let's talk about Oak and Age. So, there's thousands and thousands of barrels just hanging out in a warehouse, aging for 5 years to become bourbon. How do you go about choosing a barrel? Obviously I could walk in and be like, Dart, boom, I want that one. But what goes through your mind as you choose a barrel?
Yeah. You touched on a couple of really cool points there. And the first thing to understand is palates are unique. Our palates, we're going to taste the same thing and taste something completely different. And I might love it. You might absolutely hate it. And neither one of us is wrong. We're both right for our own palates. So a lot of it is understanding what more of the masses want and what more of the masses love. And then getting barrels and bourbon from sources that people are fans of. There's a lot of distilleries that it's really hard to get a barrel pick of. Pick your own barrel, which for those that don't understand, barrel has some amount of bourbon in it. There's different factors, age, temperature, where it was in the rick house, as to how many bottles are in there. Usually it's diminishing over time. The angel share, which you may or may not have heard of, is that, quote unquote, angels are drinking some every year. So there's some amount of bottles in there. But when you pick a barrel, you are saying, I'm going to take all these bottles in here. They're all going to be bought by my group, my company. And then it's picked by you. You get to distribute it how you want. If it's a gift for customers, if it's a gift for employees, if it's just your bourbon fanatic friends, it is only for you. That's then a very limited product. There's, let's say, in this one barrel, 160 bottles. Once it's gone, it's gone. That's all that there is. So that's kind of cool when you take one for yourself. And my story did that a lot of times.
And it's cool to be part of that unique pick. So it's not you're just going to a store and getting the whatever. I mean, I personally enjoy bourbon, Bullet. My favorite is Blanton's, but Bullet, you talk about storytelling. There's a movie where Sylvester Stallone, I think the movie's called Bullet. Sylvester Stallone shows up at the bar and he goes, "You got any bullet?" And the guy's like, "I don't have any bullets." He's like, "That's all right, I brought my own." And he just slams this bottle down. And I was just like obviously it's a movie, this is a canned scene, but I'm just like, oh, that's the manliest scene I've ever seen. He just brought his own bourbon to a bar. It's just funny.
So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna hop off camera for just about 15 seconds and mention Bullet. Awesome story there.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's the reason I drink Bullet, is because I just think the storytelling of that moment is super. It's just super cool. I enjoy it. It makes me laugh.
There we go. Got to get the whole product in there. So this was Bullet. Let me pick a 17-year bourbon.
Oh, nice.
At my former store, I don't know if you can see it. Happy Hour Liquor and Bar. So we picked of this barrel. Can we zoom in? There we go. Or maybe if I'd help pick the tag. I don't know. I think you guys get the idea, but my store picked, and then because it's 17 years old, there's a lot less bottles, a lot more angel share stealing that bourbon. There was let's say 80 bottles in that barrel. So my store took all of it. I thankfully have some still to enjoy, brought this to share with other people. And that's one of the cool things of bourbon is it's best meant to be shared with cool people.
That's one of the things I enjoy about it. So I used to live in Texas, and then I'd come back for Christmas or whatever to visit my family. And I was able to bring two things back from Kentucky that were uniquely kind of Kentucky. One was good bourbon, and the other one was L8. But it's just fun to have something that is uniquely regional that you can bring and share with others. It amps up the hosting ability. It doesn't, in the grand scheme of things, does me having a fancy bottle of bourbon that I pulled from a single barrel matter? We're not winning political elections over this, but
and you can no longer give bourbon for votes anymore. That used to be a thing. That legit was a thing.
Oh, that is a 100% Kentucky sort of a thing. That's fantastic. I love that.
But sorry, I interrupted you. You were on a great thing. L8 and bourbon are two amazing Kentucky things.
One of the things, so I'm writing this book called Jubilee Capital right now. And it is about the idea of how do we reclaim the economy. Somewhere in the book talks about it. In the 80s, we did some things at the banks that shifted money. It opened the door for a lot of interstate commerce in banking specifically that began rolling up all the little people. And then Walmart and then Apple and then Amazon, we've become this homogenized nation. And I'm not saying it is nice to be able to drive down the interstate and see a gas station and be like, I bet that gas station has clean restrooms. So it is nice. There's some benefits, but we've lost this regional flavor, and it makes me sad. And so that's what I'm actually starting a venture capital firm, like a little PE
You
venture
told me
capital
about
firm
that.
on it. And
Can I ask you a question along those lines?
yeah.
I'm going to interview you here for a second.
Oh.
So what I'm noticing in small businesses, business in general, is profit margins have been shrinking for a long time.
Yes.
Which is another reason you mentioned, the big places buying up all these small mom and pops and, more regional players. In your expertise, in your opinion, why are profit margins shrinking? And is that also leading to the trend of more conglomerates, for lack of a better term, buying up all these places?
Excuse me. Hold on. Let me.
Yeah.
Well. You see,
Professor Drew Sutton.
Professor Drew. So actually, have you ever read the Wealth of Nations?
I've heard of it. I feel like that's a economic book that they have people read in college.
Serendipitously, it was written in 1776. It was published the year of the Declaration of Independence. Very cool. It is maybe the most profound book that I've read besides the Bible. And that's not a euphemism. I mean, like, no, seriously, I refer to it today. I read it probably 15 years ago. And to be fair, my wife will point out, I did not read it. I bought it on audiobook and I listened to it. All 60 hours of it. It's a very long book. But it is super interesting because it boils life up from the farmer. So it says you take a piece of land and you plant corn in it. So I'm a very geeky person at heart, and so I'm resisting too much. So you
don't resist. Give in to yourself.
So you start with corn, right? So what's interesting is if the year is a bad year, then the corn doesn't do well this year. So you have gold and you have corn, but sometimes somebody finds a gold mine, and sometimes the corn's really bad or the corn's really good, like it's an extra productive year, which drops the price of corn. So, but if you look at gold, what gold can buy, so the purchase power of gold over time and the purchase power of corn over time, that was the original measurement of GDP. So you can kind of figure out how rich the Romans were based on what their gold could buy and their corn could buy as compared to today. So it's really the two types of commodities when glued together give you this really interesting measure. All right. So back to corn. Everything boils down to corn because somebody took that piece of land and they said, you know what? I could raise cattle on this land at a higher, it's more productive to raise cattle on this piece of land than corn. I could have raised corn. Instead, I'm going to raise cattle. I could have raised corn, but instead, or I could have raised cattle, but instead I built a building. I could have built a building, but instead I made a factory, whatever. But it all like boils down to the individual entrepreneur is always making the decision on how can I use this resource most productively. Super interesting discussion on a lot of super fascinating things. But then about a third of the way through the book, he says, now there is one institution that doesn't follow these principles, and that's the government. All politics and the government are fundamentally unproductive.
Yeah.
And it is like, I don't think he meant it to be satirical. I think he was like shooting straight, like with his glasses on, like in a professor, but it is the way it like kind of pops up in the book is like the best timing ever. So, all right. Your question was what's happening to the
shrinking profit margins. And is that what's leading to conglomerates buying people?
Yes. So we stopped doing productive things. So what happened was, all right, the best way to make money, frankly, is to get into the insurance game, because if you're lucky, they'll be dead by the time you have to pay out. And then you don't have to pay out. Like maybe the best game is insurance, because you when you look at
life insurance companies have so much capital.
Yes. When you look at and then a lot of people like towards the end stop paying on their premiums. And so if they had just kept paying, then in 3 years they would have been dead and they would have paid out, but they don't. So at its maxed value, most people fail or stop. In the economics, is called slippage. They have a coupon, but they don't use it. So slippage. All right. So insurance companies and they have a real function in life. I have life insurance, both term and whole. It's a very important function in life to protect your family. Mm-hmm. But as an economic device, it's fundamentally unproductive, right? It's a risk mitigator, but it's unproductive. And so what we've done in all of our society is we have begun doing unproductive things. Now, in the Old Testament, you have the year of Jubilee, and it talks about gleaning the edges of the field. talks about some other mechanisms like can't eat your apples for 5 years, and you don't eat an egg and the bird that you found the nest on. There's a bunch of things it says, economically speaking, that when you put it into Adam Smith are wonderfully productive. So if you do those things, that is a sustainable system that's long-term productive, and it uses the edges of the field, or like lean manufacturing is the opposite of leaving the edges of your field for gleaning, right? So the biblical Jubilee system, and for those that are watching, and I know I'm on a tear, but it's like Leviticus 25 is kind of where you're looking at. The idea was God owns the land, and he wants your grandchildren to have a better life than you're having. Like, it's this kind of like keep moving it forward, beautiful, like economic system. And that's why the families like return to their land. So like if you knew that the piece of land you're living on today is the only land you'll ever be able to own long term, you would never put a Walmart on it. Nobody would ever put a Walmart on the land that is their generational land, right? So there's this concept of, am I massing capital for productivity, or am I amassing capital for capital, right? So insurance is, I'm amassing capital for capital's sake. And most financial planners are like, oh, just leave your money in the stock market because year over year, I mean, we all know the words, and mostly they're true, but they are incentivized to never have you move your capital out of the stock market, because they don't get paid if you're like investing in a small business. They get paid if you leave your money in the stock market. I'm not accusing them. I'm just saying the incentives aren't there, right?
Oh, yeah.
So back to your question, what happened to the profit margins? The profit margins have been squeezed away from the production, and they have been moved into the bonuses of the insurance companies, because every company has insurance now for everything, so that the lawyers don't whatever. So we have this highly litigious society, which is fundamentally unproductive. And so more and more of our capital is being used on unproductive things. And then the last piece of it is, we said, well, this is too expensive to do it here. We should move it all over to China. And the kind of like the unwritten version of that statement is, because they don't have EPA and they can destroy their land, and they're willing to do slave labor, or what is equivalent to slave labor. But as long as it's far enough away from my eyes and I don't have to think about it, I get free, I get a $2 t-shirt. So what happened to our profits? We stopped being productive, and all of the money stopped being like, hey, let's invest this money to make a thing. And it started to be, let's make this money to make some money, to make some money, to make some money. And then we're like, well, we still need things. So then we found slaves that were like in Asia. So I got taken to HR. I figure if you're not being taken to HR twice a year, you're in trouble. Like you're not like living life like you should. But I got taken to
also,
HR.
HR is not your friend.
No, they are not your friend. I love you, HR. Hire me. But
it's a valuable service that protects the company. So if you're on the entrepreneurial side of things, you need people that are looking out for you. Right. But yeah, it's not it may or may not be well known, but like human resources is always going to protect the company first, individuals, second. It's not that these human resources are bad people, but that's just not how they're incentivized, and what their job is.
They're incentivized to protect the company, and then it takes you, the leader, to be man enough, or woman enough, as it were, but to be man enough to say, I'm going to take care of my people regardless of the risk. Yeah. So here's what I got taken to HR for. I'm gabbing with a friend at the water cooler, and we've been talking for about 30 minutes. It was an inappropriately long water cooler conversation. And he goes, well, we got to get back to work here because Sarah is slaving away. Oh, we don't say slave anymore. And then I said, we sure don't. Yeah. And then I said, no. We say Southeast Asia battery miner. That's what we used to. Right. I mean, this guy had a Tesla. And so my sarcastic offshoot was, we still have slaves in this world. And that's appalling, by the way. That is appalling. Like there's no justification for that. But we should be honest that we're just pushing them overseas so that we don't have to look at it. But there are as many slaves today as there were previously. And a lot of the people that are most like, let's not have, like, slavery is evil, also use their iPhones and wear their shirts and wear their sneakers and drive their Teslas. I also like Teslas, but I'm just saying, we need to start looking at a bigger circle. We like to draw circles around things that are neat and pretty, like, oh, look at the Tesla, it's saving the environment. What about the strip mining happening in Africa by people that are dying? Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
don't say the truth out loud. That's kind of the moral of that story.
You touched on so many points, and I guess I didn't realize how deep of a question I had asked. I mean, there was religious conversation that we could pull from what you just said. There's political, there's philosophical. I'm not going to get into all that, but some fascinating points that, perhaps you'll have me on episode 150. We're on, I think, 81 right now, 081.
Yeah, we're on like 80. I will say this.
Maybe we can follow up down the road on some of these points.
I had a moment about a month ago. I was reading the Bible, and I felt in my spirit, I was like, you're going to have to say some more dangerous things. Like, that was kind of the statement in my soul was, hey, you do a very good job of connecting with people. Because I care about people. I love people. This is part of building a network, is you avoid topics that are unnecessarily inflammatory. But the phrase, like in my soul, the phrase was, hey, pretty soon you're going to be asked to do some more inflammatory things. And I was like, well, okay, fair enough. Maybe, if that's what I need to do, I'm ready for it. And then this past week, Charlie Kirk gets killed, and Charlie and I have a lot of common beliefs. Sure. And anyway, so this is a long.
Was he a bourbon fan? Do we know?
I don't know, because the millennials are not really for drinking as much, but yeah. I kind of feel like he would be into bourbon cigars. I kind of feel like that was my above 50%, I imagine.
But no, you brought up two good points. One is it bridges us into networking. The one that I'm going to sidetrack us for a second on,
do it.
Is if I remember it. I mean, if you're a man of, well, even if it's scientific belief, it's a religious beliefs, political beliefs, sometimes standing up for those are put to the test in society. Do you not say what you're thinking? Do you not say, what your beliefs tell you to do? Do you just go with the flow? It's challenging sometimes. Bridging us into networking, I think you touched on it. If you don't go in with good intentions, like you said, I love people, I think if that's the words you used. I'm similar minded on that. Either way, I thoroughly enjoy meeting new people. But if you don't go in with those good intentions, like if you're selfish in your approach, you're not going to have a lot of success, or you're going to have limited success, or people are eventually just going to see you as, I am strictly selling X. I don't really care about, me, Aaron, or I could call myself Aaron, as a person. They just want my, $150 or whatever it is. So yeah, that's my approach, is kind of like try to like go in, and it's mostly beneficial. A lot of my target market is not the people I would meet networking. They might not know someone, but I'm more just go in to meet a new person and then try to connect them with someone beneficial that I know. And that builds goodwill for me, builds karma, whatever that word is for you, as well as just generally getting to know people. And that's just a blast. And that's, I guess, how I've had the most success in networking.
I like this because for me, networking, so you've come to LinkedIn Local. The point of LinkedIn Local is, and I say this I only have a 5-minute spiel or less every session. And it's always, listen, this is the non-salesy networking meeting. You should ask people, what are you most excited about? Or what are your projects that you're working on over the next 6 months? Now go meet somebody cool and connect. The way that I think of it is, like my favorite networking scenario ever, like I tell this story probably once a month, if not more. This guy walks up at a chamber event, and he takes his, so there's like a knot of us, like 4 people, we're talking, and he walks up and he puts his business card in each one of our front pockets, like a
that's
mailbox.
So rude.
Crossed personal boundaries, literally slid it in my pocket. And I thought to myself, as it was happening, I was like, I love this moment, because I'm going to tell this story to everybody I meet forever. Yeah. It's hilarious. It's like being in a cartoon right now. It's like a comedy skit. I cannot believe this guy's doing this.
Sorry.
All he was wanting was for me to go travel an hour and a half away to go to his paintball field. I mean, maybe I paintball, maybe I don't. The way I see
now,
Yeah, it's not
After he did that, like, yeah, I will go anywhere else for paintball. I will paintball in Walmart's parking lot before I go to this place.
Right. So he thought he was executing. I had another guy literally open his pack of flyers as he's talking to me, and then like there's like a flyer like this. So now I have to hold this flyer for the rest of the meeting. But my thought is instead, so I do leadership coaching if you're in corporate, and I do how to grow your small business if you're in small business, right? Because I want you to be a raging success in life. I want you to be full of wealth, and I want you to stop getting stuck in the weeds. Like that's what I want for you. So I made 2 products that I can. Most people aren't ready. They don't want it. They're not ready for it. They're ready for it. They don't know it's me. They're ready for it. They know it's me. They can't pay for it, or they're not ready to pay for it. I should be pushing through that. I'm looking for folks that the Lord has put in my path that I'm supposed to serve right now. And if it's not me and you think you need some bourbon, I got a guy named Aaron who's got some amazing bourbon. Let me introduce you.
Yeah. That is a beautiful thing. Yeah. Well, one is you do a great job because first of all, you're leading a group. You have to get everyone's attention to make announcements to, help people get focused or the purpose. But my first question to you whenever I see you is, do you have the harmonica? Is it within reach right now?
No, it's upstairs on the about to go downstairs table.
All right. Well, I didn't prep you that I was going to do this to you, but I love it. You are unforgettable in that you have a prop and then you have a funny line with the prop, which is this anyone's harmonica? And of course it's no one's harmonica. Yeah. But maybe one day it will be. And then you get everyone's attention and you help people in here are 3 questions that are, they help you get to know someone. They're fun. They're not, there are people that come networking that are shy, that are timid, and that's okay. Like, please, everyone should come to networking. Yeah. Come with a friend if you're not comfortable. There's never anything wrong with that. And then I guess I've thankfully not experienced the guy who's just like put a card, but there are people that like, you just come up and they just hand you a card as soon as you meet them. And me, like I either don't take it or I take it and throw it out when I get home. Or if I find a garbage can 15 minutes later. And then for me, there's a lot of people like back when I owned my liquor store, I didn't want everyone to have the way to reach me, which I'm on Facebook. Right. It's not hard to find me. And but I was like, people don't need my phone number. They don't need me texting me all hours of the day and night. So I just wouldn't, unless like it was, a good connection. I wouldn't just give out my info.
Yeah, I generally only give out my LinkedIn because I can control. There's your face is on the little light up icon, right? And I can decide whether I want to interact with you or not. To some of those that are watching this show, I probably want to connect with you. I've just been busy. I'm not saying this applies to you, but
and there's specific people in the crowd that you can see. No, I'm just joking. We can't see the audience, or I can't see the audience.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. But so that's why I most religiously use LinkedIn. I'm like, hey, let me connect with you on LinkedIn. It's easy because most people have LinkedIn. And if you don't have a LinkedIn,
most business people, more people should, like you're saying, should have LinkedIn.
So yeah, that's what I do to kind of manage that. The other thing is LinkedIn is super easy. So like if I find somebody that they're like, I'm looking for something special to do for my company, I'm like, you might want to talk to Aaron. It makes it really easy for me to give out your information without giving out your information. Like you've already made a public profile. I'm going to put the 2 of you together, make a little short intro, but I don't have to like, oh, here's Aaron's number. Go call him. So I like kind of the facsimile of closeness that LinkedIn provides, but it also provides some distance.
I'm going to give a tip here for any of your audience members who happen to sell on LinkedIn. Copy paste messages are really easy to tell. And I do not hesitate to just let you know, you just sent me a copy paste message. I feel very honored. And I feel like you just want my business so badly. And I will something just verbatim like that. And then there's times I'll just share that post on like Facebook or something. Because I love messing with like scammers. I really don't want to like make someone feel bad, but like you have to put a little effort. You have to be like, if you're going to look at the person's page, like, all right, you worked at wherever. New York Life is a past job for me. What was that like? Or something where this is actually a human person who's put a little thought into trying to sell you. So yeah, be genuine, put in effort. For me, effort is sexy. Same thing with networking.
This is one of the reasons I started my podcast. Is everybody would like to be on a podcast, and everybody, like, the process of getting on a podcast involves some effort. Like, so you watched some of the videos. I don't know if you watched all the videos, but I send out a series of videos.
I shamefully watched 0 of the videos. You're gonna be. You told me ahead of time, like you kind of know what you're doing, Aaron. You've been on a few of these, I haven't, but I love that you give tips and guidelines. Like there's at least 6 videos that you send leading up to me and you being on today, and like you give great info to help prep someone to be their best self on video. And I shamefully didn't watch them.
No, that's totally fine. But that's kind of like, that's the reason I made them that way is if I call you, I'm like, hey, Aaron, I need to talk to you about how to show up on my show. Now I'm kind of like twisting your arm into something that maybe you did or didn't want to be involved with. Whereas if I send you the videos and I'm like, hey, they're here. I just want you to know you don't need to watch them. I need you to send me some stuff, but you know, this other stuff is just here for you. Hospitality, like, I get this question a lot. How did you go from engineering to doing leadership training? And the answer is, for me, they're the same. In both cases, it's a hospitality issue. When I was in engineering, I'm pretty good with mechanics and math. And I was like, well, I can make little magic tricks for people that they can't make for themselves. So it's like a gift I can give them. And then with leadership, it's, hey, a lot of folks would like to know how to interact in a party, but they're not good at that. And so here's a little gift I can give you. Here's 3 questions. When you show up on the podcast, here's how to think about it. For me, it's all hospitality. And how can I, as a host, I actually, like, whenever I walk into any room, I consider myself to be the host. Like, there are hosts, but I consider myself that anybody that walks in my sphere, it's my job to make sure that they have an amazing experience. And hopefully I can tailor that experience to be in line with what the real host is trying to accomplish. But yeah, I always consider myself a co-host of, hey, how can I make you, Aaron, feel amazing in this situation?
No, thank you. You did. You succeeded, and I felt very prepared to drink some bourbon with you. Which I don't know if that you've had a sip since we first started, or if you've even had a sip yet. So if you would do me a favor and just a little sippy sip.
L'chaim, yeah.
L'chaim. Yes, there we go. So no, thank you. You've certainly succeeded in being a gracious, amazing host. Beforehand, I know there's even some after work you have to do once we're done talking and having a sip. So, I appreciate this.
We are running out of time. So let me give you the audience. You got a bunch of things in the hopper. You got a brand new bourbon company that you're starting. So just talk to the audience, tell them what you're up to, tell them how they can contact you and how they can get the most exciting experience out of you. And then we'll close up the show.
Yeah. A couple things of my businesses or what have you that we didn't get to talk about I'm an investor in LexClean. I've known Aram Street and a lot of things. I've gotten jobs from networking. I'm invested in businesses from networking. It has benefited my life. Drew asked me some of my favorite go-to expressions. And I think you even may have said it, but your network is your net worth. So I've gotten incredible opportunities from networking. But yeah, Aram Street here in Lexington, he owns LexClean. Father of 5, avid pickleball player. He just seems to balance life amazingly. I don't know how he does it. Yeah. He's got time to network. He's got time to do lunch. He goes out with his wife. I don't know. He finds more than 24 hours in a day. He has an amazing commercial cleaning business. He is not the cheapest. He does not advertise that way. He has never lost a client other than like someone with financial hardship.
Right.
What he does is he pays above average wages and he has the same cleaner every week cleaning your business. So they know exactly what to do, where everything is, and they give you that same clean every time. So if you're not happy with your cleaner, LexClean. Aram Street, tell them Aaron Rothke recommended you, or just, Aram Street, and go and learn from him. He's another, just like Drew is someone that I look up to, want to learn more from on how he just balances life, Aram Street. Met him through Lexington Young Network Professionals Association, which he's on the board. It's another great Lexington networking organization. We're talking LinkedIn Local, though, another great group, a little bit more of all ages, not just 21 to 40, and a little bit more professional. I mean, unfortunately, when people go networking, some people are there for like dating purposes or what have you, which is not my purpose. But I guess when attractive people meet, things can happen. So the other businesses, I do rehabbing of properties in the Lexington, Central Kentucky, even Kentucky area. I don't have a taste for things that are just complete rebuilds. So I'm looking for things that are needing just a tiny bit of work, less than $10,000 worth of work before it could be put on the market. So if you're aware of something like that, if you're a realtor, if you're a wholesaler, if you just have your own property that you're like, I could not sell this on the market because X, Y, Z, I might be up for taking a look at it. Invest in some other brands. I've got Magnolia over my, I guess that's my, I don't know, right ear, left ear, over my left ear. Yeah. What field goal? That's good.
So I'm a little dyslexic, and this has never helped me.
Well, I'm looking at myself. So this is like, it feels like it's reversed of where, cause I can now, that's my right side. So yeah, left side, Magnolia. It is on the market. It is in Kentucky. It also can be bought online. You can look up Essen Pike Magnolia. Friends have bought that brand and are doing some really cool things. Also an NDP sourcing bourbon, doing some cool finishes. So behind me, these are some Lawrenceburg, Kentucky barrels that were then finished in a, can I say it? A very rare Buffalo Trace product, let's say. I don't even know if I can say that. But they use a secondary barrel. Like you said, you're a Bland's fan.
Yeah.
So it's not that product, but it's another rarer Buffalo Trace product. So they're doing some really cool, really tasty bourbons. And of course, I'm very excited about Oaken Age. There's my LinkedIn profile. You can send me copy paste messages, and I will call you out for it right there. Please do. I do have some spare times. I do like messing with people that happen to just quote unquote, I don't think are the best use of my time because they're spammers or sending me copy paste messages. But yes, Oaken Age, just keep an eye out for hearing about it. You can't buy it yet, but there are barrels that your company could buy, that your bourbon group could buy, and they're from some sought after distilleries. We have some 18-year from Bardstown, Kentucky, that are pretty sought after. We're looking at some other stuff. So get a hold of me again by that LinkedIn or Facebook. And it's just Aaron Rothke or Aaron Rothke on Facebook. I love Aaron, the Key and Peele. Incredible sketch.
And such great comedians.
Not all, no comedian has 100% hits, but they had a lot of
some of their hits are fantastic. Well, Aaron is being humble. Aaron is a dear friend of mine. It literally, there's certain people that when you walk in the room and you see that they're there, you're like, oh, thank you. This is going to be a good evening. And Aaron is certainly one of those guys for me. I am flattered that he comes to LinkedIn Local. If you're in the Lexington area, it's generally the third Tuesday of the month from 6 to 8 at the Camel Club. Come see if you can catch Aaron. If you run a small company or a medium-sized company and you're looking for just a really cool, eclectic way to connect with people, if you run one of those family offices and you have kind of a group of folks that are interested in high-end bourbon, but something a little special, something you can't buy off the shelf, Aaron has several solutions for you. Reach out to Aaron. Tell him you saw him on the Drew Sutton Leadership Show. And with that, we are out.